Welcome back to Living Vividly. I'm Jackie Hedditch, your health coach.
I'm Daphne Olivier, the unconventional dietitian.
Today we're joined by Ashley Rush. She's a licensed professional counselor, and we are going to be digging into OCD, a little bit of anxiety, OCD, and the treatments for that. So we're so excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
I'm looking forward to this. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
We were just talking about, I have a smidge of OCD myself, so I'm interested. I've never dealt with it, and it comes and goes. If I'm in a high stress situation, it kind of presents itself a little bit more. So I'm interested to talk about that.
Yeah, so let's just kind of start from the very, very beginning. OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. And what is like a definition of OCD? Because I think that term has kind of gotten watered down a bit because everybody's like, oh, my OCD, or, I have OCD. But what is a true definition of it?
Things that we look for are are there repeated obsessions? Are there very intense worries? Are there compulsions? So are there things that you're doing repeatedly? Are you avoiding certain situations, right? Are you repeatedly asking for reassurance? Are you doing things multiple times to feel better? And then typically it's what we call ego dystonic. So it's like the worries are against who you are as a person. If it's thought, I guess, obsessions. And that's why it's so disturbing. And then it also has to interfere significantly with your life. So
can you give us some examples? As someone who does not deal with OCD, I have a vague understanding of what OCD is, but kind of give us some examples of what you see in your counseling practice of people who are dealing with OCD and how it interferes with their quality of life.
Yeah. Well, and I think typically people think of that movie As Good As It Gets. I don't know if y'all seen that with Jack Nicholson. Yeah. And he's has his silverware and he's worried about germs, or we think about people who can't step on a crack. So the movie version of OCD, but mostly what I see and what shows up frequently is more so obsessions about, a lot of people have obsessions about, what if I harm somebody else? Or what if I harm myself when I don't want to? And then they, avoid doing a lot of things to avoid that feared outcome, or they are worried about, a lot of people are worried about religious-related obsessions, moral-related obsessions, right? This is the South. There's a lot of scrupulosity, what we call it. We also see, a lot of contamination or germ-related things. But yeah, and obsessions can look like those things that people are doing multiple times in a row, things that we can observe, or they can be mental obsessions. So I think that is what a lot of people don't realize. You can have OCD and nobody can know you have OCD because you are just ruminating all day. You are trying to reassure yourself all day, right? That you're not a bad person, or you're trying to reassure yourself that you didn't hit somebody when you drove around the block. So yeah, it can show up in a lot of different ways.
So it's not just the light switch thing that Dustin mentioned off camera earlier. It's intrusive thoughts that qualify and those kind of things.
Yeah, intrusive thoughts, right? So it used to be called pure O, which is not typically a thing. Pure O meaning, I just have obsessions. I don't have compulsions. But the reality is, to qualify for OCD, you have compulsions. There just can be mental compulsions, like I said, reassuring yourself, mentally checking, even checking our body, right? So checking bodily sensations, even some people checking for signs of arousal. Am I attracted to this person, or this gender, or whatever it is?
So how is OCD diagnosed? What is because it sounds like it's very blurry, the edges of it's very blurry. In the medical world, I'm in more of the food world. If your blood sugar is 140, we know you have diabetes. It's a very clear-cut delineation, where it sounds like OCD is a little bit, is like I said, blurry.
And you can't look into someone's brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, so we use the DSM, so the Bible psychiatric disorders. And we also can use, so in the DSM, there's, criteria, right? So the obsessions, right? The compulsions, and then it has to be affecting your life in a significant way enough to, meet the criteria for the disorder. There is what we call subclinical OCD. Like plenty of people show up and they don't it's not, they can still work, they can still function, they're doing well. So maybe they just don't get an official diagnosis, but I still treat it the same way. We also have an assessment called the YBOCS, YBOCS, and that can kind of give us an idea of how OCD is showing up and also what, the severity level is, which can determine, the frequency of treatment or maybe even if more intensive treatment is needed.
What is a treatment for OCD?
So treatment, right? The gold standard treatment for OCD is called exposure and response prevention, or ERP. Typically, people go to their regular therapist for hey, I'm having these symptoms. Maybe if they're lucky, the therapist recognizes it as OCD. But then most therapists, unfortunately, are not trained in ERP, right, which is the gold standard treatment. They do talk therapy with the client, which is not going to be effective because that can actually be reassuring for OCD, kind of maintain the OCD.
So in what way could talk therapy reinforce the OCD?
So let's say if you're coming in and you're man, I'm so afraid I'm going to get my friends sick, I'm avoiding going certain places, I'm wearing a mask, I'm using hand sanitizer. In talk therapy, they may be okay, well, let's look at that. How likely is that to happen, right? What are other people kind of doing in these situations, kind of reassuring you, which we are not doing in ERP.
So even in the how likely is that to happen, even if it's 1%, it makes it worse because it's there's still a percentage chance that it'll happen.
And OCD is not going to be satisfied. OCD is going to be yeah, but there's 1%.
Right.
It's not a logical. They don't have a logical understanding of 1% means that there's 99% that it's not going to happen. So it sounds like there's some illogical tendencies to it.
It's it overrides it. The feeling overrides the logic.
Exactly.
Because even when I don't want to talk about what my OCD is particularly, but when I think about...
I was just about to ask you, what is your OCD?
It's not for this forum.
Yeah.
That it's not real and it's not going to happen, but it's it takes over your brain kind of. It was really bad whenever I was in a really high stress situation, and it's you can't, at least for me, I could not get the thought out of my head, even though I was just what is this is so insane, why would I think this? And you couldn't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah. And it's still all right, well, that risk of, to use that example, getting my friends sick, it's not worth it, right? Even if it's 1%, it could still happen. And maybe, some people are and I couldn't handle that. If that happened, I couldn't, deal with it or whatever. They would hate me. It's that kind of what we call that core fear that's underneath. Okay, well, what would be so bad if I got my friend sick? That's what we're kind of treating with ERP. So it's okay, well, we're not going to sit here and be oh, you could handle it. Yeah. You got this. That would be more so talk therapy. With ERP, we're kind of looking at, all right, what are you going to do if that happens? And we're going to sit with that. Okay, well, what if they do get mad at you? What if they do, not want to be your friend anymore? How would you handle that? Right. So we're kind of, in a sense, sitting with the uncomfortable emotions that people are avoiding by, let's say, not doing things to avoid getting their friends sick, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But at a very systematic pace and always with the client, always at the client's pace.
So I was watching a video learning about ERP, and one of the examples that they gave was, so you have a hand washing obsession and you touch something that's dirty, germy, whatever, and you have to wash your hands. would just not washing your hands be part of that ERP? Like touching something and just sitting with dirty hands?
So if the client or if the person felt like they have to wash their hands after they touched, I don't know.
The doorknob.
That's a good example.
Because they're disgusting.
Yeah. So after they touch the doorknob, they usually were like, I have to go wash my hands. I can't just sit with it. So yeah. So we would want to look at, okay, well, we can scale that. We don't have to just jump to not washing the doorknob because that may be really, really hard. So we can do, let's say if they usually wash their hands immediately after touching the door, 1 pump of soap for 40 seconds, right? We can say, all right, can you do 30 seconds? Can you do 20 seconds? Like we can get it down. Can we use less soap, right? Can we like rub less vigorously? Or we can do things like, okay, well, if it feels too hard to just go touch the doorknob and not wash our hands, we can get like a paper towel or like a Kleenex and open the door with that. And just like, if that feels hard, cool, we're going to do that and we're going to sit with it and we're going to practice seeing what that feels like, right? And the point is we are teaching ourselves we can actually handle this sensation and we can actually handle the outcome, right, of not washing our hands, which we're with OCD like constantly telling ourselves, I cannot handle. I'm going to avoid it. I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen.
What causes someone to have this disorder?
I mean, so there's not a great, like with many mental health disorders, not a great, like, this is exactly, we know what causes it. But generally, genetics and then environmental factors, right, with most mental health disorders. Yeah. So, and it typically comes out around like as a kid or in kind of early adulthood is when it typically shows up.
Could it be like a response to like a traumatic event, like a PTSD response or something?
Yeah, it can totally be triggered by that for sure.
If it's triggered by that, do you think there was always a chance, or maybe you always had it and that just exacerbated it?
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Like turned it on.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like flipped a switch. All right, now you have OCD. Yeah, kind of.
It was always kind of there, but
yeah,
now it's really there.
And typically with people, like when I'm, doing an intake with somebody with OCD, I'm like, who else in your family has anxiety? Because usually it's somebody has OCD tendencies or something like that.
Does OCD always carry anxiety?
Like if does somebody with OCD also have anxiety?
Always show anxious tendency. Yeah.
I would say yeah, because that's part of this is really distressing, right? So these thoughts are really distressing. I don't want to have them. I'm having them, or this feeling is really distressing. And that's why I'm super anxious. And that's why I'm doing all of these things to try to get rid of it.
So for someone who has OCD, is it usually like one thing or two things that they're obsessing about? Or is it like, can it be multiple things?
Typically, over the lifespan, it is going to be multiple things.
So it just changes though? Like
it can kind of change, yeah.
Okay.
Like it can, and typically, I know we talked about this earlier, like it can wax and wane. Like if there's times that are more stressful, even if it's a good stress, like it can kind of show up and then kind of go down. And I would say for, my goal for people who are going through ERP is that like, all right, we're going to get you to be able to treat this yourself. Like you're going to know exactly what to do because the theme, we call it the theme, right? If it's germs, if it's illness, if it's what if I hit somebody with my car, right, and didn't know, it's all treated the same. And we, even if you have multiple themes, it's like we want you to be able to know how to kind of tackle that on your own. That's my goal.
Someone with OCD always has anxiety, but someone with anxiety doesn't always have OCD. Do you think a lot of people are getting diagnosed with just anxiety and getting treated for just anxiety and we're missing OCD? Like is it difficult to diagnose, or people going undiagnosed very often?
Yeah. So absolutely people are unfortunately going misdiagnosed often. So it can take, I think they did a study recently, and like it can take, I think they said 7 years for somebody to get diagnosed with OCD, which is an extremely long time.
Why?
Well, therapists, like in school, most programs aren't teaching about all of these other kind of like subtypes of OCD. They're definitely not spending much time on exposure and response prevention, right? That gold standard. And I think just the providers' lack of education, and also we aren't typically as a profession given the Y box, like the screening assessment, right? Which can be really helpful to screen for that. So it's like, well, we're not screening for it. We're not really taught about how to, what to look for. Most people know kind of the surface level stuff, and people are coming in with really, I'm going to say weird. It's not that they're weird, but like unusual obsessions.
Yeah.
and that's
unique is the word that I like to use in that space. I call my sister unique all the time. Like, you're so unique.
Well, it's unique. Yes. And I think that therapists aren't recognizing that as OCD. Like, I've heard horror stories of people coming in with what we call like some taboo obsessions, right? People are worried they're a pedophile, right? They are not. People are worried they are going to harm somebody. They are not a danger to anybody, and they get committed. They get hospitalized. They have OCD, right? This is a traumatic experience. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about
really scary.
Treating it. Yeah.
Well, and I would imagine that someone who's been dealing with OCD for a long time, they just kind of assume that this is maybe how everybody works, or everybody is kind of battling something, their own little thing. So unless the right questions are asked, they don't know that it's not typical.
Or even if not everyone's dealing with it, I am the only person in the entire world that is thinking this or doing this, and I can never tell anybody.
Yeah, some guilt or shame.
I will tell you, one of my weird things that since I'm a kid, I will pick my fingers off. Like my cuticles, like I'll bleed. It's terrible. I used to have trichotillomania, basically. I would just pluck my eyebrows straight off my face, and I cannot stop doing it. And I'll just do this all the time, and I'll peel them. And I got prescribed Buspar. I don't even know. That's the nickname for it. And it was for body-focused anxiety, I guess. But it didn't help. And it drives my husband crazy. Like, I've never met anyone. Just leave your nails alone. Like, I can't. I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, I'll just sit there and peel them right off.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So that, there's what we call body-focused repetitive behaviors, right? Which is like a big fancy word. Also, another thing therapists aren't really taught how to treat, which is frustrating. But that kind of umbrellas over trichotillomania, excoriation disorder, people bite their nails. And like 30% of people who have a BFRB may also have OCD, right? It's pretty common. I see it all the time. And that also has its own kind of specialized treatments. Interestingly enough, there is no medication like for, picking the skin or trichotillomania or any of that. It's kind of more so like symptom-based treatment with medication.
Yeah.
And therapy.
I used to get the nail polish that tasted bad.
Oh, yeah?
And
Did it work?
No, I stopped. Learned to love it.
What did it taste like?
It's like super acidic and bitter.
Oh.
I can't remember. I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was something. It was nasty.
Subversive.
Did anyone just ever put gloves on you?
I'm sure as a kid they
That's
tried, but my husband will even just like sitting across the sofa, like, just stop. Just stop. Like, I literally cannot. I can't stop. It's so crazy because I'm like, stop, self.
Yeah.
And just, it's such a weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I know I need to stop because I'm watching my cuticles just bleed everywhere. I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But,
well, so I'll talk a little bit about that. So there are specific treatments for those types of issues as well. So there is an integrative kind of treatment that encapsulates a bunch of the really good evidence-based treatments. But with that, there's what we call habit reversal training. You also want to look at like, well, what do you, and I'm not saying you specifically, just like you. What are you?
The collective
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Like, okay, well, when are you doing this behavior? Like, are you bored? Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you tired? We also can look at other kind of behavioral based treatments and other treatments related to like CBT, ACT. So what, looking at the feelings that are related to times when we're doing these behaviors. Like you said, we can get little, like almost like a fingertip gloves. Sometimes that's helpful. We want to make it harder to do the behavior, right? So if we're, I don't know, picking at our nails when we're driving, maybe we're changing our body position, or maybe we're like having a fidget or something in our hands.
So it sounds like the goal is to just kind of break the association with driving and picking your fingers, and this like picking on your nails. It's just to kind of just change the association of those two things that you do together.
Sometimes we just want to make it harder to do. Like, how are we going to make it harder to do? But also, like, if we're stressed, how are we going to deal with stress in a healthier way? Or how are we going to, mindfulness is a big part of it. How are we going to be more aware when we're kind of like getting higher on that stress level before we bite our nails or before we're pulling our hair or whatever it is?
So I'm interested to know, because of the work that I do, what kind of OCD tendencies do you see around food or eating? Tell me what you see with those types of things.
So I see a good amount of fears around, I mean, this is kind of related to food, but like fears around taking medications, fears around eating certain foods. Those can be very, typical, like, oh, if I eat this chicken, I may get food poisoning. Mm-hmm. Or it can be like, if I eat this chicken, my mom is going to die. Like, it can go kind of like
quite the
two extremes on that. Maybe like foods can only look a certain way, or I can only eat Burger King or whatever the food is.
Is
I have seen those things before.
Is ARFID related to OCD at all? So avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, I think is what it's called.
I guess like they could be cousins if they were related. Not the treatment can have some overlap, but not like, I don't see a ton of ARFID in my OCD clients, if that's what you mean.
Would I have to burn this chicken or else I'll get sick be an OCD thing?
Could be.
My mom was very much like that.
Yeah.
She was like, no, you got to cook it until it's cooked. You got to like cooked.
Brown.
Yeah.
Brown.
Not juicy at all anymore.
So maybe the exposure for that would be like, we're going to use a food thermometer and we're just going to cook it till it's done.
Because they tell you at this temperature, it's safe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So like, and I know I mentioned before, like, well, we don't want to reassure you, but in that situation, or with a lot of like germ related things, we are doing what the general guidelines are. So like hand washing, all right, they say 1 pump of soap, 20 seconds, sing happy birthday or whatever. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to go over that. We're not going to make up our own rules. Yeah.
Right.
So y'all don't try to do less than what the standard would be. Like, you wouldn't
Sometimes.
say don't wash your hands at all because
some
you'll be fine.
therapists do.
Okay.
Yeah. Some more, I'll say, extreme therapists. But also that may be something that can be helpful. Like, okay, we may go one step beyond if the person is willing, because that can almost be like, all right, well, I've done this, I've done this. I've made it. I handled it. I can do anything now.
How long? Okay, so we're doing this exposure therapy. I need to wash my hands after I touch every single thing. And I do this and I go an hour after touching it, whatever. How long do we have to do that before it actually sticks? Is this a lifelong thing? Or I know there's no black and white answer to that, but how long do you typically see therapy being required to kind of get over these things?
I think that it definitely depends on the severity of the OCD, because some people will come in, they've been dealing with this their whole life. You know, they've kind of like found ways to cope with it. They're doing a lot of compulsions. They may come in longer versus like I have some people who come in and they start out like coming every 2 weeks, which is not something we would want to do with somebody who has more severe OCD.
You'd want to give them more time in between or less time?
Less time.
Okay.
So yeah, like we want you in every week versus if somebody's like, I can manage pretty good. Like this is just something that I do and I wish I didn't do. And, you know, okay, well, maybe we can meet less often. But for most people that are coming in weekly, I would say within like 4 or 5 sessions, something is kind of like shifting a little bit. And they're like, okay, I didn't know there was a different way to do this. And this is like clicking. And then I'll see them for a while, maybe start to space out sessions longer. And then I have some people that come once a month or less, just like as maintenance. Not saying they need to come, but it's kind of like a safety blanket in a way.
Yeah, just like practice.
Yeah.
Is OCD the only diagnosis that you treat? Is that like your main bread and butter, or do you treat kind of a spectrum of mental health disorders?
Yeah. So OCD is the majority of my clients. The second biggest population is like your skin picking, your hair pulling. I see a lot of perfectionism.
Wait, that's a mental health thing?
Well, it's not a diagnosis.
Okay.
But
I'm making an appointment.
All right.
Yeah.
Could that stem from an OCD type situation?
It can, yeah. Like when I'm seeing it, it's mostly in people who have OCD and they also are perfectionists. And it's in a way that is holding them back instead of like making their life bigger. Yeah.
Give us an example of that.
So,
because I'm pretty sure I just qualified for OCD. I mean, the prior version of me. I'm recovering now. I consider myself a recovering perfectionist.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
She's put in the work.
I've put in the work, and you know, it still peeps its head out every now and then. And I'm like, okay, I see you. I see what's going on here, and just push it down.
So we have helpful perfectionism, which is like, okay, you know, maybe that includes some comparing ourselves to other people, but it's motivating. Like, okay, like I want to get to this level or whatever. I want to have the top, I don't know. I want to get this book published or something. And like, okay, well, I need to do all this work. It has to be, you know, pretty good, right? Not perfect. And then we have the unhelpful perfectionism, which is like, I have to have the best book ever written. I'm constantly comparing myself to other people. It's making me feel worse. I'm raising the bar for myself all the time. And I'm never getting there. Or when I do get there, the bar gets raised again. So yeah, that would be more so what people would come to therapy for. You know, we want you to keep the helpful perfectionism because that, like I said, can be motivating, can help you reach standards that you want to reach. But it's that like when the standards get too high, that's when it can become an issue.
It's like you're achieving greatness, but you still aren't happy with it and you're miserable.
Yeah.
That's where I was. And it was just exhausting. And I was like, enough of this. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's exhausting. That's a good word for it. To go back to your question, a lot of emetophobia.
What is that?
So it's like the fear of vomiting.
Oh, that's a bad.
So that's another food related one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever come across that, but people will also limit their foods, right? So I can only eat these safe foods, monitoring the body for signs of like nausea, sickness. It's also something that can look like OCD because there are what we call like safety behaviors. There are things that people are doing to make sure they don't get sick or they don't throw up.
Do you ever see people that are like, okay, I have to have my smartwatch on when I sleep, my smart ring on when I do this, my this when I do this, I have to check my vitals every 30 minutes.
Has to be monitored.
Yeah, like like is that
sometimes
with all the new technology? I'm assuming that's got to be a form of OCD coming out.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it that often, surprisingly.
Interesting.
It's probably so new that we haven't gotten completely addicted enough. Like we can't think of it as a problem yet, but health anxiety is a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, I you bring up a good point, because there's like, the Ring, the watch, like, I don't know.
Like wake up every morning and read your like results from your sleep. It's just kind of crazy.
Well, even so, I just went to my brother's baby shower this past weekend, and one of the things on their registry was I think it's a sock for the baby that you can see their vitals, I don't even know what all you can see, heart rate, vitals, skin temperature, all kind of stuff. And I was like, that I'd get obsessive compulsive over that just because it's interesting. Yeah. It's like, oh, what is it at now? Oh, they're safe. And then it would get
that feels
it changed
very uncomfortable.
It might have actually helped my anxiety when I first had a kid. I would go in the bedroom every single night and like put my finger over her nose to make sure she was breathing. I was just like convinced one day I was going to go in there and she wasn't alive, and just it's helpful because that is a true possibility for some people. So yeah, those socks are helpful.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they came out around the time I had my first little girl. It is
socks.
Like sudden infant death is the thing, and it just monitors their pulse and it's like straps around their foot.
I mean, they even have like pet trackers now. Like you can get really into it with your dog or whatever, your dog's vitals or how many steps your dog got.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And some people, I would imagine, are really attached to their pet. I mean, I'm attached to my pet. Like I want to actually pet her and enjoy her. But some people that I have worked with, their eating schedules are off because of their pet's schedules. So I've got to give the pet the medicine. I got to wake up, and the first thing I do is give the pet. I have to wake up at 6 a.m. So give the pet the medicine and the this and this, and we have to feed them, then we have to walk them, and so it's 9 o'clock before I can eat my meal. I'm like, I think that should be the other way around.
I've only recently started eating. My dog eats at 7 and 7. I've only recently started eating before my dog at night because I want to eat before it's too late. Yeah. And usually it's like we do this whole routine before she eats. And
I'm so glad I don't have that.
That's crazy.
Problem.
Yeah, no, we don't. Our dog she's a queen. We call her a queen.
We feed the cat when we think about it. Sorry.
High on the list.
She's a cat.
She's like, please feed me.
Yeah.
That's funny. So can we shift and talk a little bit more about anxiety?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people with anxiety, just kind of probably more just generalized anxiety, not something specific to, further mental health disorders. But I do have one person that I'm working with that will listen to this podcast, and she will know that I'm talking about her because she has OCD and anxiety, and they're very closely intertwined. And kind of like what you described, that when her typical thing that she consumes changes, if the color of the container changes, if they change the way that it opens, if it creates a lot of angst for her. And I know her really well, so I've always just been like, come on, it's the same thing, just keep drinking it. And she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, you're right, I don't understand. I don't understand how much it's impacting you, because there's so many other things you could be doing, but it causes a real concern for her. And it's been not until I met her and really kind of understood the challenge that it was for her that I've really considered maybe that's happening for a lot of people. She's surely not the only one,
Yeah, that is a thing that I would say I see pretty frequently. Maybe not that specific thing, but fears around food. And it's typically, people that enjoy food, or maybe are adventurous, or we always say OCD focuses on something that you really care about. So, all right, well, if being easygoing, if preparing meals, if eating healthy is something that I really care about, OCD is going to be like, okay, but what if it's, contaminated, right? What if you get sick from it? Yeah. So, it sounds like what you're describing is more, to me, it sounds like it could be more OCD, but there's significant anxiety that shows up with that too.
Do you see a lot of OCD and eating disorders intertwined? I mean, we talked about ARFID and a fear of vomiting. I don't remember what you called it.
Emetophobia.
emetophobia. So do you see a lot of eating disorders kind of involved in that? Because I can see a lot of those. I would imagine some of those things kind of stack up.
So I personally don't treat eating disorders. So I really don't see any. If I am seeing somebody with OCD and an eating disorder, they're also going to be seeing another therapist who specializes in that. Yeah, there's not really, I mean, definitely could it happen? Sure, right? OCD can show up anywhere related to anything, but there's not really any specific examples that I can think of. No.
So they don't overlap. I mean, the one person that I know has anxiety, eating disorder, OCD, all in one. I mean, so in my mind they would overlap a lot, but you're saying not necessarily overlapping.
I mean, I guess they could, like if somebody is just showing up with, like you mentioned, like the restricting of foods and different things, like you would definitely want to kind of see like, okay, is this OCD? Is this an eating disorder? And can they overlap in like, okay, I'm restricting food maybe, or in both there's a high level of anxiety. Yeah, like that could be how they overlap.
What does anxiety, like how would you define anxiety that doesn't stem from an external disorder?
External disorder,
like
OCD.
Like OCD causes anxiety.
Okay.
ADHD can cause anxiety. Depression, anxiety. Yeah. What would be anxiety without having some diagnosed reason to be anxious? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you can be anxious about anything.
Where does it become? I have anxiety.
Okay. So I think how I would define it is, does it become excessive? Does it start to interfere with your life? Does it make your life smaller? And that by that I mean there are certain things we want to be doing, things that we enjoy that add to our life, and then with anxiety we're like, well, I can't do that and I can't do that, and that I have to get reassurance with this, and our life gets smaller and smaller. So I guess that's how I would define it.
So it's normal to be a little bit anxious about something. Mm-hmm. And I guess anxiety would just be like your cortisol raising and you feeling a little bit weird. Mm-hmm. But if you can't go, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a scientist.
It's a great explanation.
But like going to the gym and basically like the room starts spinning and you have to leave because it's freaking you out.
I guess there are different types of anxiety. Social anxiety, certain, that kind of stuff.
Anxiety can be helpful sometimes. Like, all right, I'm going to do this podcast. I hope I'm prepared. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me look cute. So if I wasn't anxious,
you do look cute, by the way.
The scarf, if I wasn't anxious, I would like come in my pajamas or something.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I'm just going to talk about whatever. So like, yeah, anxiety is helpful up to a point. But if I was like, I have to look perfect, I have to have a script, I need to write out all these pages of what I'm going to say. Yeah, right. I need to get a facial. I don't know. All of these things. Then, well, that takes up a lot of time where I could be doing other things that I enjoy, hanging out with my dog, or I don't know, going for a walk or whatever. So in that way, like it could make my life smaller.
So I'll tell y'all from my perspective. I don't have any known, aside from the perfectionism, which I don't know that that's necessarily a mental health diagnosis. I don't have any like ADHD or ADD or OCD or any of those things.
Her brain works really well.
Nice.
As far as you know.
You haven't lived up here, so it's but I don't have anything that I've ever really had challenges with. And I didn't know really what anxiety was. I didn't know how anxiety felt until probably, I'd say maybe about 5 years ago. And then it would kind of creep in where I'm like, why do I feel so uncomfortable? Like I didn't know what it was. It's like I just feel like uncomfortable, like jittery, and like my insides are shaking a little bit. I didn't know what it was. And then it would happen more often and more often. And it was usually situational. It wasn't just for no reason. And so it was definitely hormone related in my experience. So sometimes whenever like I have thyroid dysfunction, so when my thyroid's not doing well, my anxiety increases a little bit. But it was such a foreign feeling to me that I couldn't even explain it. I didn't know what to say about it to even inquire, like, why do I feel weird? It was just angst, just like discomfort, and then finally I put those two things together whenever I realized, I think this is what anxiety is. Like, this is what I'm feeling is an anxiety feeling. Then whenever I would feel it, I was like, oh, okay, like, what's going on? What do I need to do? Like, go take some deep breaths, go for a walk. Sometimes it was a lot more than that, but it took a long time for me to realize what the anxiety was. So I think that, to answer your question, from my personal experience, anxiety can come from any variety of things.
And you bring up a good point. Like, are you eating right? Are you exercising? Like, is all of your medical stuff in line? Yeah, that can definitely affect it too. Then that's something we want to, it's the mental part and the physical part too that go together.
Yeah. And I would say that's easy to tease out. Not necessarily easy, but it's, like I said, it's kind of has clear-cut lines of if you have high blood pressure, let's say, and some people can feel when their blood pressure starts to elevate. Most people don't, but and it can feel you feel this sensation, then we can say, okay, well, your blood pressure is high, so we need to, let yourself. That's an easy thing we measure it, we check it, it's high. Yes, we need to calm down. But it's like an easy defined thing to say, okay, when your blood pressure is high, then you get anxiety, and so we can work to manage the blood pressure.
Kind of what you said earlier, you were like, all of these things were happening. I didn't know it was anxiety. I didn't know what it was. That can be really tricky to help tease out with somebody that's never had anxiety, and they're like, is this, like, what is this? what is happening to me? But something that I find really helpful is to kind of just explain all of the physiological stuff that's going on. So it's like, it's the same thing as if you were going to do 20 jumping jacks, right? Maybe your heart rate would get elevated. Maybe your adrenaline is going. So it's not necessarily something that's bad or dangerous. It's just like a false alarm in the case of anxiety.
Can eating differently, or is there anything someone can do at home to reduce OCD-ness?
like non-therapy related?
Yeah.
I would say, like, are you getting social support? Are you hanging out with your friends? Are you just isolating? And I guess this is just general mental health stuff, right? Are you hanging out with friends or people you care about? Are you doing activities, with people that you care about, or things, doing hobbies? Are you eating okay? Are you drinking enough water? Are you moving your body?
Sleep
Sleep
would have to be on there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm forgetting something probably very important, but...
Did you say exercise?
Exercise.
Probably. I think you said move your body.
Yeah,
it's like all the foundational stuff.
Yeah,
being
exactly.
A happy, healthy person.
So if you're doing all the foundational stuff of being a happy, healthy person and you're still struggling, that's when they go see someone like you. That's when you would suggest see somebody.
Yeah. And so, if we're talking about OCD specifically, kind of for many people, they don't want to get on medication. They just want to do therapy, which is fine. But studies have shown that ERP with something like a SSRI medication can be very, very effective and helpful. So, but everybody's, on their own journey, and some people just want to do one or the other.
So medication specifically, just medication is not really going to be effective with OCD.
The medication can be helpful to kind of like, all right, well, if my anxiety is, if it's usually spiking my anxiety, it's going to make those, waves a little bit lower or flatter. It can help in OCD make the thoughts less sticky. So I still may have the thought, but it's not going to, stick around as long. But ERP is kind of the most helpful thing long term to be able to handle it more effectively. Like, we can't never have another intrusive thought, and that's true for anybody, whether they have OCD or not.
Yeah. So if you go through the ERP, do you get over the OCD? Like, do you get over the compulsion, or do you just learn how to manage the compulsion?
So there's no cure, right? With, like, same as many mental health conditions, but it's more so we can get you to a place where OCD is not controlling you. It's like, okay, well, you're still going to have thoughts because you're human and you're still going to have feelings, but you're going to be able to feel all of your feelings think all of your thoughts and not let those things tell you what to do, right? You're kind of in control. So it's like, yeah, will you still get OCD flares? Maybe, right? But you will be able to control them and manage them.
And kind of acknowledge it for what it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is a compulsive thought. It's not really who I am or who I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Who I identify as.
It's probably helpful to have those coping skills and having your support system understand it too. So like if you're married, like I'm having an OCD episode.
Yeah.
And then your spouse or whoever can help kind of manage that situation so you don't go spiraling by yourself.
Yeah. Like we definitely want to have partners, parents, right? We want to have those people understand what will maintain the OCD cycle and what will help the person, which are two different things. Like if the partner's constantly like, you're fine, that's not going to happen, you're undoing all of the stuff that person learned in ERP. So we want them to be like, yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you, but I'm not going to support your OCD. And that may be, some people like to use humor, which is always fun. Their partners like to use humor. And with the client's consent, like, cool, we can make it a joke.
Yeah.
The partner can make a joke out of it. We want to embrace the uncertainty of whatever situation it is.
I think humor helps a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of lightens. It doesn't feel so heavy whenever you can make light of it.
Yeah, exactly. And with something like with OCD, how it sometimes can be these bizarre themes and the person's like, I know this doesn't make sense. If we're out bizarring the OCD with humor, then it like the OCD doesn't have that ammo.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's say if like, I don't think it's funny if we use humor and I have OCD and my partner's constantly making a joke, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, partner.
Even if there's no ill will behind what they're saying.
Yeah, like it's not funny to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there has to be that understanding. Yeah. But no, like I think making a joke, like let's say if I have a client who has fears about what if I accidentally ran over somebody with my car, I'll be like, what's your least favorite celebrity? And if they're like, Kim Kardashian, I'll be like, maybe you hit Kim Kardashian, and then usually they'll be like, haha, that's funny. And so maybe that kind of joking is okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have like certain personalities, I think, would be really okay with that, and some would maybe not.
I love
so you have to
making everything a joke, but I know people with zero sense of humor that would not handle that well.
Yeah, it depends.
Tell us about your new venture.
I am currently at KDH Counseling. Been there for a while, but I will be opening my own practice starting May 11th. So
soon.
Yeah, soon. So mostly, like I would say 95% of my practice is virtual. So I see people all over the state, older teens and adults virtually.
What is the practice called?
It's just my name, Ashley Rush, LPC.
I love it. Easy to find you.
Yeah.
So you'll see people obviously OCD focused. And what are the other disorders that you work with?
So trichotillomania.
And so tell us what these things are too, because they're not very.
I threw that out there.
They're not intuitive.
I was like, you knew it. Yeah. So like skin picking disorder, right? Hair pulling disorder, any phobias, perfectionism, health anxiety. Yeah,
very cool. So May 11th, and you said mostly telehealth, but you do see people in person too.
I have like a very, very small in-person availability, so mostly telehealth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you accept insurance, or it's out of pocket?
I'm out of pocket, yeah.
Fantastic.
That's exciting.
That is.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, this has been very insightful. I might be booking a consult with you. Before we let you go, we ask all of our guests one important question is, what does living vividly mean to you?
Yeah. So I kind of thought about this, and I think it fits perfectly with like what I'm doing every day and like kind of the skills that I just use personally. So basically, living vividly would be, I am going to do the things that are important and meaningful to me, to the best of my ability, right? Every day, even if I'm uncomfortable, right? Even if anxiety shows up, I'm going to move towards those things. So, yeah.
Thanks for listening to Living Vividly. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. For more resources and details from today's discussion, check out the show notes. Until next time, keep living vividly.